left the exercise. Just to let you know that I will mark, let's say, with some sort of a rectangle here, the different steps that more or less were already taken. Just take out the fill, no fill, and see line. Okay, so that's dashed, and a little bit more weight to it. So this dotted, let's say, square will imply that we already went through all this process from the notification point of view. Okay, so let's see. Let's put a light. No, nothing. So we understand that this is already done. Then, as per the notification master record, we did as well most of the actions in the system, right? Actually, it's the same square size. Basically, we did assignment and installation, the write-off process status as a user status for the equipment master record, and then the disposal method as well. No, every time you see this I, that means that we are somehow changing the status of the user status of the equipment. And then pending actions will be to close the notification and complete all the different tasks and deactivate eventually the equipment. For the write-off overview, excuse me, for the inventory and warehouse actions, what we did, it was the first three in inventory. Remember that the inventory user created a reservation, the senior user approved eventually, and then we just performed Amigo transaction with movement type set 01 in order to move back, as a, let's say, goods received for a warehouse, move back the tablet into the inventory. And then those actions are triggering TO for disposal area. And the TO has been confirmed by the warehouse user. So we have our tablet in that disposal area. So that's done. Then pending now from the inventory point of view is to do this some sort of a staging area from the inventory and warehouse point of view, because basically we want to tell the system that please, this tablet has to go from unrestricted to blocked stock. So from the inventory levels, they cannot be moved anywhere, and it's blocked in order to be finally scrapped, right, in the inventory and in the warehouse as well. So now the following transaction will be again covered by the inventory user in order to put a movement type to transfer posting in Migo. This is the first time we're going to do it. So you'll see how it's done. And from there, we will do a warehouse activities, but not necessarily like a physical movement of stuff, but some sort of, from the system point of view, we are going to move the tablet into an area where we can just issue out to the disposal area and then scrap at the end of the day, okay, over here. So this middle part of the screen will be, this is some sort of a staging area from the inventory and from the warehouse point of view. So let's transfer this posting, go into Migo and put from unrestricted to blocked stocked our tablet. So I logged in as an inventory senior user, and Migo, it's always let's say that it's all the transactions in inventory pivots at the end of the day from Migo, from the goods received, goods issue, and all the transfer of postings and even the reservations as well. So this is one of the most important transactions in inventory that we can find. So in terms of what you have to input, you see that it's defaulted the last transaction that I created, which was the goods received based on the reservation of the tablet. Then what I have to select initially, it's transfer postings. So I will have to put transfer posting, and the second option will be other. Okay, so here we are not referring to any document whatsoever, right? We are going to transfer a posting based on other reference document, and we are going to use the movement type 344. Okay. Let me see, because I think I have some background noise here.
I'll take care of it, Daniel. Don't worry.
Okay, thanks. All right. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so then we go directly into the material tab. Okay, excuse me, into the transfer posting tab. Here we're going to refer to the PID that we used for the tablets. So we'll have to enter the material ID or product ID, which was, let me see, demo data. I have to go, this is our tablet, the PID for the tablet. So that's the first reference that we are doing in this transfer posting, the material ID. Then the plant, it's EUS 00, and please click on enter here. You put EUS 00, you see that automatically, it's recognized by the system, but only when you click on enter, the system will derive all the information in terms of destination and from. You see, computer, tablet, and even UN headquarters in New York with the following plant. So once you click, you input EU00 or any other plant, make sure you hit on enter, because otherwise the rest of the information will not be, let's see, derived internally from the system. In terms of storage location, same, it was 3101, hit on enter, you see the system recognizes the storage location in New York. And then I will have to go to quantity, but first you see this valuation type. I will have to refer to new supply, right? And let me just go back to the equipment master record, E03 to view. I'm going to put the serial number, I think it's this one. Okay, and I will go to this SIR data tab. You see the master batch, the evaluation type still is new supply. This master batch has to, or the stock batch, new soup over here, has to match with this one as evaluation type in this transfer of posting. Okay, so that's important. Then I hit on enter. The computer table is already stored at the bottom, and then I will go to the material and identify that is going to be, sorry, in quantity 1 unit, which is the unit that we're going to scrap eventually. And I believe that the serial number is not written, so I put it there, 1619177. It's my serial number here coming from the exercise. Okay, so we might be good to go. Let me hit on enter, and it's already pre-populated this item. Okay, let's click on check. Document, it's okay. So let's post it, and we have here a material document. Let me write it down. It's 49000293008. It's actually the follow-on document from the previous material document. And please remember that we are doing these transactions, this transfer of postings. Basically, we're telling the system, as I said, please block this piece of equipment in the inventory so no one can touch it, is a way, so it's not subject to be used or moved or amended, because it's blocked in order to be scrapped afterwards. And as we always say, the inventory transactions are always triggering somehow these warehouse transactions. So we'll have to create a TO, in this case, a TO for transfer of postings, and we will have to confirm. Okay, as I said that again, it's not a movement per se, a tangible movement in the warehouse. It's only from the system point of view. Okay, so let's do this transfer order for posting, and the T code should be LT06. Remember that all TOs, regardless the previous transaction, are using the same T codes, and it's basically the same fields to be populated. Let me just copy in the cover page my material document, transfer posting. Okay, so this is my document, the one created, and you'll see there is another transfer order that will be created right afterwards. That's what I'm doing right now. This is the warehouse, the material document year, and this is the retrieved material document created. Hit on enter. And this it's a bit different in a way, because what I'm going here, it's I'm going to check or to, let's say, highlight which is the storage type that I'm going to use. Here, it's disposal area, right? So go back to the, here, I'm going to eventually, excuse me, coming from the disposal area, right, here in the previous transaction, the warehouse. So we'll have to select here disposal area and save this document. So you see it's a little bit different, this, let's see, interim transfer order. Basically, I highlighted the disposal area and hit on the save button. And then there I have another TO 14, excuse me, 1214. That's the one that I'm going to write down in my user sheet. So I make sure that I have all the documentation in case that I want to go back and check all these documents. It's important that I have all written down. So 1214, it's created. I can confirm directly from the navigational menu over here. Hit on enter, and you'll see that the computer, it's going basically to the, from this TR zone to the disposal area, in some sort of, as I said, an interim storage, warehouse place before we actually put it into the scrapping area eventually. Okay, so I confirm internally. You'll see this 922. This is a storage type, the interim storage type. I save, and the transfer order has been confirmed. So all these two different steps in inventory and in warehouse have been done already. Okay, this, as I said, interim area from the disposal area up until to the scrap area. So I hope it's clear. Basically, I created another MIGO document, 49 type of document, and a TO that I can use now in order to do the MIGO for scrapping, do a goods issue for scrapping. So I'm going to issue out from the inventory this tablet, which is in blocked status, right? And it's going to be issued out to be scrapped eventually in the warehouse scrapping area. So let's do that. Hopefully everything is in order, right? So I will have to go to the MIGO transaction again. It's the same, the user, it's in this case, it's the inventory senior user. So I will have to log off. I forgot to do that. And I will have to log in as an inventory senior user. Right, so let me log in, RD0, Umoja 123, I think. All right. And then I'm using the MIGO transaction. And what do I select here? I would have to select goods issue. That's the main activity there. And then I will have to select other as the second field. Okay, so we're going to issue out from the inventory this tablet. So what else? Which is the movement type? It's already derived here because I did the exercise some days ago. You see, it's goods issue scrapping blocked. So this is the one that we have to use in order to, in the inventory, let this tablet out of our inventory before we take action in disposal. Okay, goods issue order 555. So in general, we'll have to put here the material. There, the material, although headers text as well. I think here, let's issue. Okay, let me just hit on enter now. First, before, let me just move this. I'm doing hit on enter. All right, and then the material will be this one. Okay, this computer tablet. And what else? I will have to put the evaluation type. Let's see, what's here? Quantity is 1. Account assignment. I think I will have to put there as well. The fund, or maybe so quantity 1, words go one step at a time. The plant will be US00. Hit and enter, remember? So it's derived, storage location 3101, hit and enter. Goods recipient here will be scrap. You can put there a description like scrap, because this tablet will be scrapped. So hit and enter. Account assignment will be the fund 10 UNA, cost center 10002, hit and enter. And then we'll have to identify the serial number, subject to be scrapped, information on the warehouse that it's not needed anymore. So I think that we can, well, it's already pre-populated, this item, okay. Just click on check. You see, enter valuation time. Always we have to enter our valuation type that yeah, it's over here in the material. New soup, because that's the one that matches with the equipment master record. Check, document it's okay, and then we post. Okay, another 49 document is created, which is 49,000,29309, and that's the one that we're going to input here. Let me just copy and paste. Okay, it's 09. That's the material document for the goods issue to scrap in the inventory, right? As you can see in the presentation, after the goods issue is done, then the warehouse part will have to be finalized before we jump into the notification and into the deactivation of the equipment. Okay, so we have our document posted already, and what do we do now? We log off as inventory senior user, and we log in as a warehouse senior user. 3, I think. Okay, and there, let me just go to the body of the exercise, so you see that everything there, it's duly explained. So you have in every of the screenshots, let's see, a red square with the main parts of the screen that you have to really be attentive, right? Especially this part, which is a bit different, this TO for transfer postings on the warehouse. Although the T code is the same, once you are putting this material for the transfer postings, automatically you have to select this the quantity from the disposal part, and there confirm the TO. That's a bit different from what we saw in terms of TOs. And you saw that this interim page, the storage type is some sort of a 922 transfer zone or something like that, that will make available for the following Migo transaction this tablet to be scrapped. Okay, 5. So we're almost done. You see, let me just go transfer to a scrapped. So let me just make sure that everything is here. So we are in the one of the last steps, transfer order to a scrap. Let me, the T code is LT01 in this case. Warehouse number AF1. Okay, and then important, the movement type here will be 999. Which one is this movement type? So all the way to the bottom, we see that is warehouse supervision. So this is the, let's say, a TO, a special TO created for scrapping this document in the scrapping area, and that will be the last step from the warehouse point of view. Okay, in terms of, you see that we have several fields, mandatory fields, the PID, the quantity requested, plant and storage location, use 00, hit on enter. Okay, then the batch, it's storage type, certificate number, printer. Okay, did hit and enter. All right, and then we have to identify which is the bin, the initial bin, and the destination bin in order to get rid, let's say, of this tablet. So the storage type will be the disposal storage type 001, the one that we selected initially, okay, 001. And then the bin will be disposal, the one that we selected before. Hit enter. Then the destination will be the disposal area as well. Excuse me, 999. Sorry for that. 999 and 001 and a scrap. That will be our destination bin from disposal to a scrap. Check your entries. Guess because the new supply is already derived and the requested quantity, so looks okay. So transfer order has been created 12/15. That's our final TO to be confirmed in the warehouse. So 12/15, and that will be the last document we create in our exercise, 12/15. So let's confirm, automatically confirm transfer order, hit enter. We check that it's going from disposal to scrap in the warehouse area, confirm internally, save, and our TO has been confirmed. So eventually these three last steps have been done. From the inventory, we are okay. Once the inventory senior user created these goods issued to scrap inventory, it's finished. And then the last two steps was to create this TO final from disposal to scrap and confirm the TO. So from the inventory and warehouse activities, we are done in terms of write-off and disposal. Then pending actions have to be taken in terms of notification and the equipment master record. Okay? So this transaction is already done. So what's left? So first we'll have to go to our notification at some point and update all these different tasks, right? So it will be the planner SD09, as I said before. The planner, it's really the one tracking and overseeing the whole notification process that the business, it's, let's see, following all these different steps in the transactions as well. So I will log in, I'm logging in as a SD09, as a disposal planner. And I want to take a look at the notification. So IW52, so I can take as a disposal planner changes into this notification. I think is 1736. I will make sure that it's my notification. No, it was 1751. See? Okay, so that's our notification, the write-off for equipment and tablet. What I see here in the notification status that currently it's with the review approved from the different boards. Okay, so I check that everything is okay, and I may want to change the status from review approved to disposal in process. Here we go. Remember that this action may run in parallel as the different actions in the inventory or the equipment or just before, okay? So it doesn't, you don't have to do all the warehouse business and then take action in the notification. Please bear in mind that the SD09, it's in contact with the rest of the persons in the notifications, with the approver and the creator, but as well with the equipment with SD11. Yes? Hello?
I think somebody just unmuted themselves by mistake. Yeah, I'm going to take a look.
Thank you.
And also, Daniel, while we're at it, since you've already been interrupted, I just wanted to bring your attention to something that you're mentioning, but Nicola also took the time to write it in the chat. His 2 cents, as he says, right? And when you accept the goods issue to scrap, right? The transaction, the one before last that you were doing before. We're talking about, of course, like you said, system language, right? To define issuance from inventory for write-off, but it doesn't relate to the actual disposal method. It's just a movement type used to goods issue this tablet
Exactly.
from scrap, right? As scrap, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just clarification of that. Thanks, Nicola, and thank you, Daniel, for that too.
Thanks, Brian and Nicola. You're all over the place. Thank you, Nicola, for all your insights there. So now getting back to the notification as SD09, the disposal planner. Once, as I said, right, this person is going to be in close contact with the SD11, with the inventory senior user, and the inventory user, and of course the warehouse people. So they keep track of what's going on with the equipment. It's part of his or her terms of reference, being a disposal planner, making sure that all this process is duly done and it's following all the policy guidelines and the transactions in the system. So that's why he or she is going to put the disposal in process. So from the review on the board, now it's in disposal in process. So it's changed the user status of the notification, let's say. And then in terms of tasks, eventually, plenty of things have been done from the business. So let's say from here, from task number 2 to task number, for example, for 12, all been the approving of the controller, submit to the HPV, all these things, can be, let's say, set as like complete tasks already completed, right? Remember that you don't have to wait up until the end to update all this. So we are basically inferring that every single action and all these communications will have an affectation in the notification per se, right? As things are going on, the SD09 will get into the notification and update all these tasks or change tasks or add new tasks, okay? So that's why, well, what I did is a bunch of them. What I did is I selected and I put them as completed, okay? It's this update of notification, and I will save it right now. It's really important because eventually when everything is done in the warehouse and, it's going to be scrapped, then, well, there will be some sort of a disposal certificate, if I believe, right? From whoever unit is doing the disposal unit will generate some sort of certificate, right? I believe, along with warehouse and inventory, right? All those things will have to be duly updated, or attached into the notification, right? If it is required, this certificate of disposal, and then when all that relevant information in order to complete the whole write-off and disposal case, it's attached, then the disposal planner will eventually go to the header on the status and select that the disposal has been already completed, right? All the impairment from process will check number 10, which is the last user status, and leave it there. Disposal completed, because he or she has already attached and communicated all the relevant information and put it in the notification, so everything is clear, and we can, let's see, put disposal complete. Okay, save the notification and eventually complete the notification. And how we complete the notification, how we can just say that it's done after checking all these different items, right, in the different location data, these items, and eventually the tasks that can be already completed because we already proceeded with the disposal. We send an email to PMU, we can see that these two are being completed and everything's done. Save it. I log in again into the notification, and if everything looks okay, I can just complete the notification as a whole, right? One thing is complete the tasks in the task tab, and another story is to complete the whole notification as a whole, right? The system gives you a reference date, today's date and the time, so everything is kept in track. Equipment uninstalled reference date, so it's already completed, this notification. The last step will be to deactivate the equipment, and it will be the SD11. So let me log in as SD11, and we will put the serial number. Remember that the status is available. The current status was destruction disposal method, okay? And eventually we'll have to deactivate the equipment. How do we do that? Okay, after checking that everything is okay and all the relevant tabs are fully, let's say, keyed in with information and everything is okay with the partner assignment and everything seems to be ready, you can always go to equipment, functions, activate or inactivate, and then here you have the option to deactivate. And click on save. So the equipment master record, it's, let's say, kind of like blocked in a way. So if you want to log in again, you can see that the system status changed from available to inactive, and the equipment has been deactivated. Here you see from available to object deactivated, and the user status is that the destruction disposal method was used. So don't be, let's say, confused if you see two different system status. It's completely normal. So in a way, the system keeps track of all the system status that were applied to the equipment. If you want to see which are the different system status that are present, if you have more than one, I invite you to take a look at the job aid on the equipment analysis workspace with the BI reports. There you can find in a table, in more or less in the middle of the job aid, you'll see all the different types of system statuses that you can see if you see more than one, right? I know that if you do not do things properly in the equipment master record, sometimes the system status is derived and there is something wrong. I think that Claudio shared with us a couple of examples some days ago. But don't think, just as a golden rule, don't think that if you see two system status there, that means that that equipment master record is wrong or there is something wrong there. You have to check whether it really makes sense or not. In this case, it makes sense. It was available initially and then inactivated after the disposal was done. Okay. If we want to take a look at let's say the log or the action log, we go to extras and then action log, and there we can see, we can keep track of what has happened to this piece of equipment since the beginning. Since initially it was into the system, you see that Maria Soledad Evangelio changed the equipment user status at some point, right? And the system status was in the warehouse. Then some technical information was, let's say, automatically populated, right? When the automatic goods enrichment. Then Maria Soledad Evangelio changed the status when that tablet was assigned at some point and inputted a functional location, right? With the authorization group as well, 055 or 0065. And then eventually I did this morning removal of the functional location, I believe, and I put from available to write-off in process. And eventually myself, what I did is I deactivate and put another user status as disposal method eventually at the end of the day. So a way to see who did and when things happened in the equipment master record, it's always you have to always go to extras, action log, and there you will take a look on who did what and what was changed in the equipment master record. So from, let's say, the exercise point of view, from the demo that we wanted to perform, we are done. So let me go back to the presentation and see that these last two steps, closing of the notification or completion of the notification, and then the activation of the equipment master record has been done. So the notification from A to Z, it's done. The equipment master record has suffered plenty of changes in itself while we were undergoing through the write-off and disposal method. Then in the inventory and the warehouse, we took plenty of actions, starting from the reservation and then the return to stock using Migo. Remember, as always, all these inventory transactions will trigger warehouse transfer orders. The only different, or one of the main differences here with, if we compare these type of postings or Migo with some others that we have seen during these days, is we have to create a transfer posting to set this piece of equipment from unrestricted to a blocked status, right? And that again triggered one TO for transfer posting, right? That doesn't mean that we're going to move the stuff from anywhere, but we have to take this transfer order and confirm this transfer order and do it in the system in order to let the inventory senior user do the goods issue to the disposal area, okay, eventually to a scrap, and eventually the warehouse people will take that object and then it will be ready in this disposal area to be scrapped. So then all these considerations that we took, I think that it's not worth it to go through them, but these are just descriptions of the different actions that I've taken, especially for the notification and the equipment master record. So there you have plenty of guidelines to use that you can use along with the exercise, with the body of the exercise, that everything is duly explained. So as you can see, the whole, let me see, the whole exercise, it's long in a way, but if you understand, most importantly, that the notification, when it starts the notification, which documents you have to attach into the notification, who is taking action into the notification, that's already a very good start, because it's a mandatory document that you have to create and attach in the inventory number document in the equipment master record. If we want you to have clarity on what the SD11 eventually will have to do in the equipment master record based on the actions taken, okay, very important. All the business on the update the notification status based on the change of status from with an approval from the different boards and already approved, and then eventually update the equipment status to a disposal, uninstall the equipment, and then do all the, let's say, inventory and warehouse activities into the system. Okay, I think that this part, the part from 11 to probably, let's say, 17, okay, if I may. This one highlighted in blue are all the inventory and warehouse actions that I took for the demo. And it may seem initially a little bit like confusing, but once you reference all those transactions to this slide, or these two slides, in the inventory, warehouse, and the notification equipment master record, I think that you're good to go in order to understand, for a very high level perspective, what to do in the system, okay? And as we said initially, and with this I finish, very important to include in the notification as much information as possible. We talk about the technical unit giving the green light initially. Even the US were talking about a service order for doing that. Information on the why the actions the conclusions done or delivered by the local property authority board, or whoever is has a delegation of authority, and all the paperwork will have to be attached into the notification before it's closed. So all the case it's properly built in the system and in the notification itself. So that's the demo as a whole. Hopefully it was clear. Sorry if it was long, but it's always important to have clarity with the system, but really understand what we are doing with the different sequence of steps that we put over here. I think now we are more or less good to at least start doing the exercise on your own. And of course, if you have any problem or any clarification, we're here to support you along the way. So now we're here for questions or comments. So over to you, Brian.
Thanks, Daniel. No further comments in the chat. Besides Nicolas and Antonio's last comment, that's it. I hope you can hear me well. I see this warning sign that says that my connection isn't that great, but I hope it's not the case.
It's okay.
So at this point, you have finalized the exercise for write-off in this transaction. I think it was very clear. Of course, I'm more familiar with the steps. Any other discussions of maybe things that happen in between? Okay, thanks, Elena. Things that happen in between, something that may happen in the end, the types of scenarios we'll encounter in the mission. If this particular scenario that you're describing and that you've performed in the system is going to be very common, which one would be one of the most, if there is any? I'm sure we're going to be able to perform all types of write-off disposal methods during liquidation. I'm sure we'll have a chance to do each one of these, even though, of course, we only have limited time to cover specific scenarios. I'm not sure. I think you are going to also show maybe some reports that are useful too. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I think maybe if we have a comment to make, maybe something we can add to what Daniel has just explained. I know we're focused on transactions, trying to explain why we're performing one thing versus another. But just like we had our discussion this morning, maybe this afternoon somebody wants to jump in and mention something else to add.
Brian, I only have a question. At the very, very beginning, when you create a notification, Daniel, there is one in the general tab, you put it the equipment number. Okay, and today we only had one item to process for write-off. But what if we have more than one item? What do you put in there? And what's the purpose of that field? Thank you. Hello, did you hear me?
Yes, I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
So let me just, so I'm going to show the identification, right? Let's see. I think it was this one. Let me check. It's 1751. Okay, even you know that it's already completed, right? That's why everything is grayed out. As you said, the notification here, if it conveys more than one piece of equipment. I'm just talking from memory, since we were deployed in Unifil back in for the GTB process. I remember that at some point we included the equipment or the equipment undergoing the write-off process, if they were 10 or 15 or 20 pieces of equipment within the same notification. We will put it over here in the description, right? And at some point as well, they were talking about even attaching the some communications that will explain why all these pieces of equipment are put together in one notification. But to the best of my knowledge, there is no field, maybe I'm wrong, but there is no field where we can just input plenty of serial numbers. So the notification, so it's clear that the notification conveys plenty of serial numbers. Besides this description, right? Because here you can see we can only input one. So if we were talking about I don't know, 10 tablets instead of one, I would put the first serial number. Here in the description, I will put the rest of all the serial numbers explaining that this notification conveys several pieces of equipment. And of course, I will attach the relevant information to all related to all serial numbers. But to the best of my knowledge, really, I don't see a place here where I can just identify one after the other all the serial numbers included in this notification. I don't know if that's the question you were asking, but that's my feedback on that.
Thanks. No, I know that you can list and you can attach the numbers of your case, let's say, but I cannot understand. I can read Claudio saying for fixed asset you put it's a 1. Yes, we know that. Yep. But again, when it comes to several equipment, still doesn't answer to my question. When it comes to several equipment, what's the purpose of putting 1? And by the way, if I have 10 items, which one I put it there? And what's the purpose of that information to be there? I mean, if I don't know if anybody knows the reason, otherwise we can leave it as it is. But I appreciate, I understand that you can put in the text and attach the relevant documents to prove the case and all the equipment numbers. But I'm just wondering why that field has only one equipment and what's the purpose of it? Thank you.
I don't know if anyone else wants to chip in, but for sure in the notification we do not have a place where we can add more. You'll see in the BI reports that we do need this notification for in order to link the data into the system. But besides that, I don't see a place where I can just input all these serial numbers for one single notification.
Yeah, and what Gianluca is saying makes sense. I mean, the system, it requires you, right? You can't leave that field blank, correct? Or it can be left blank. If by any chance, the only difference that it makes when you add the equipment number there is that it automatically populates, right? Other fields like the account assignment, the cost center, fund as well. I think it does do that when you add the proper equipment number. But what is the sense of that? No, when you have 20 or 30 different pieces of equipment.
Yeah, there is no other type of notification that will be like multiple serial numbers or something like that.
I have a question on this. That actually by populating this field, right, with the equipment number, does this operation will populate automatically the inventory number field in the equipment record?
No.
No. So
no,
okay, so that one has to be done individually. Let's say equipment by equipment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with no automatisms. That would have been an answer if there was this automatism. So it can be left blank, and as Elena rightly is noting in the chat, the scope of the notification is to track the tasks related to a process, to possibly a long process. There's no automatism, so that field is helpful up to a certain extent.
Exactly.
Over.
Yeah, thank you, Nicola. And yes, it's a pity that it's a manual intervention that the equipment master local data maintainer has to input in the equipment master record in the inventory number to link with the notification number and just populate manually. Things can happen, like, for example, not populating whatsoever. Things can happen, like, for example, putting a typo and, overlook one number and then the notification is not the right one. So yeah, it's a very important part of the activities of the SD11 that is not automatized and depends on her accuracy, right? Or stewardship of all the equipment master records under his or her responsibility. So yeah, it's an important, as I said, important part of the process, but it depends absolutely on the good actions taken by the SD11.
And Daniel?
Yep.
Antonio Aprile is also posting a screenshot, and it goes back to what I was mentioning before. The equipment field itself, it doesn't seem to be mandatory. I'm not 100% sure if you can move on without filling in that field. I think you can. But then you also have a planner group, right, that you have to fill in a plant that are linked to that equipment, or at least that group of equipments that you're adding to this write-off. So at least in that sense, all the list of equipments that you're adding to this notification should at least be linked to the same planner group, right? You're not going to freely just add them there. But I don't think that the equipment field is a showstopper. So if we don't want to, we don't have to. But then the account assignment field will also be empty.
Exactly.
So the only thing we're going to have to add is the planner group in the plant.
The good thing, thank you, Brian, is when you populate this field, you see automatically it's underlined, as I pointed out in the demo. If you double click, you will be going directly into the equipment master record, you see? So beauty of it, it's just, that you can drill down and connect the notification with the equipment master record by just double clicking, right? And it's not mandatory.
Yeah, and that takes us back to that reality versus, what you should be doing. Of course, I think the system was relying on the fact that you would have one notification per item, and that's why it was built like that, the same as the fixed assets. But of course, in reality, when you're writing off 100, 200 pieces of equipment at a time, you're not going to go one by one. And, it's much easier to just throw in there 100 pieces of equipment. Or it was even done for fixed assets at one point, where they were using one notification per every 10 fixed assets. Wasn't that the case in some missions too? So people find ways around it, but I think that was the idea, and it was initially meant for one equipment at a time.
Guys, I go back to what we said there, Ron, and all week. Since Minijuice was the first mission to liquidate in Umoja, it's time for people to sit around and see what can be automated a lot more than the way it is now. The action that we're doing today, as great information and presentation by Daniel. If you think about 50 people checking out in one day, with some of them with 20 and 30 assets, I mean, the time to do all that will be just astronomical. So we really need to sit down with the people in headquarters and see where we can automate this system to save time. I mean, in a sustainable mission, a normal functioning mission, even like Brindisi, I mean, you can take your time doing these things. But when it comes to downsize and liquidation, or the fact that Unimid, it's a big job. That's for sure. Big job. Especially, as I said before, with people leaving the mission, you're losing the experience, you're losing the expertise. I mean, there's so many factors to take in. I know the training is very important, but also we just need to look after doing this training where we can get the system to automate some of the functions. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, Joe. It's a very valid point on my opinion. Besides that, because you're talking about automation, yes, and that's every time that you want to make a change in this ERP, then you have to put 5 zeros and then one number and put US dollars, right? So if that is not the case, definitely a discussion with HQ in terms of the property management unit or whoever is in charge of this is how you can bend a little bit the policy while we reach the liquidation process, how we can really bend or be flexible from the policy point of view linked to Umoja as a ERP, so we can do things faster and we can do things in a way that the whole liquidation process, that the system supports the liquidation process rather than limits the liquidation process, or rather that it's so cumbersome that makes the whole process extremely complicated. So the system, I don't know how easy it is to change things and how to automatize stuff, but definitely some words with the business itself and say just to say, okay, normal the regular days, regular business days with in a mission, it's okay. We can live with the system, but if we just go down for 2-3 months into a mission and we have to liquidate it, it's going to be really difficult to really follow on these different transactions. So maybe an agreement with them, as I said, being flexible in terms of policy and guidelines, having some exceptions in place. I don't know. This is just food for thought, but definitely besides the training, something has to be done in order to put the business in the same, let's say, track that or mindset that you guys have before traveling to UNAMID. So yeah, it's a very valid point.
Also, just one other thing. When the ASG was here in Brindisi 8 or 9 months ago, maybe longer, Christian Saunders, I asked him a question of when will there be a review of Umoja since it's been implemented? And as far as I'm aware, I don't think we've ever had a review or feedback, a proper discussion and feedback on how Umoja is working. Again, I'm sorry, I keep mentioning mini-juice because we've been asked an awful lot of questions about mini-juice and lessons learned. And I'm sure when the auditors look at how mini-juice was liquidated, they will probably pull up a few issues as well. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you all for the comments. Anything else?
I want only to add about this about this list of equipment. Eventually, I'm doing this stupid question. I don't know if it's correct to say or not, but I was thinking myself, I have 10 equipment that I cannot list, and do I can do more notification on the same equipment? Because what I understood, if you don't populate properly the information in the system, you don't know if there is a notification or something about that equipment. So if I don't populate correctly, I can raise more than one notification on one equipment. And this can happen as well because sometimes the disposal method will change. For example, it was included in a commercial sale, and then for time constraints, you will move it to scrap or another disposal method. So could be that you do more notification on the same equipment, correct?
Daniel, not sure you're answering that or not.
To unmute. It's a valid question. I will think myself. I don't know. From the business point of view, there is no problem. From the system point of view, I think that's some sort of a problem because having different notifications from the same equipment in order to write it off, that will give you from the reporting point of view, that will really not much. And I'm sure that Kirill will have that will be a good question for Kirill's team, because they do keep track of all the write-off and disposal process based on the notification. So if you are, let's say, doubling or increasing the number of notifications for the same write-off case, then the whole figures are mixed up a little bit. So, but I understand you that if there are changes or you have to, I don't know, raise another notification in order to flag another item, I don't know. It's a valid question. I don't think it's stupid at all. So it's a very valid question, but I don't think that from the system point of view, that's really efficient and wise, right? Because at the end of the day, you'll see in the BR reports, everything pivots through the notification. And then you have several notifications from the same from one single case that will really make 3 write-off process instead of 1. So the reality will be a bit difficult to understand. So yeah, I mean, you can do it, I'm sure, but I don't think that it will fly. I mean, that's my
Daniel, it seems Claudio is also writing in the chat and mentioning that it actually happened in Brindisi, and of course by mistake with consumables. So it is possible, and it has been done. And if it happened in Brindisi, I'm sure it's happened somewhere else. So yeah, it's definitely not a good thing, as like Elena was saying too, and we've mentioned throughout the weeks. This notification is to track what is happening with goods. Also, the tasks are limited or added depending on the notification that we're selecting as reference. So if we're doing this, when we pull a report and we can see that later, we're going to have one piece of equipment linked to like 3 different notification numbers. Pietro is also adding something here. I can confirm that during the liquidation phase, a duplication or notification for the same equipment has been found, even 3 of them for the same item. So wow. Yes, it has occurred. So I guess the best thing there would be, of course, to clean up and get rid of those. But which one is the accurate one? The more the merrier, Nico? Yes, exactly.
What they can do is to change the coding of the notification as, for example, I don't know, the purpose is changing. So the coding of the notification, which is what it's going to be pulled in the BI reports, can be changed many times. If it's write-off surplus or write-off donation or the type of coding for the notification. I don't know if this helps or answers the questions. Instead of creating different, they can change the status many times once the notification is created.
Thanks, Elena. I just think the issue here was the fact that it was the same piece of equipment. So if you're writing off a piece of equipment for one reason and then you have that same reason or that same notification duplicated or triplicated, then something's going on. And if we change the coding or the reason, then that would mean that the same piece of equipment has undergone 3 different disposal methods. So I think that's where the issue is. No?
Not different, but for example, if you thought at the beginning that you will go write off and scrap and then you change your mind, you remove the coding and you change it for the new one in the same notification with the same equipment.
Yeah, and that would be the way to go. But it seems that that's not what happens in all the cases. No, I overheard Claudio, I think.
Yeah, please. If may I just add this as a sample from our experience in during Pyro project. During Pyro, we went through a lot of write-off, okay? Because we identified a lot of equipment which was actually, which passed the life expectancy, etc., etc. So what happened is when you open a notification, especially on consumables, what you do, basically you physically check something which is on the shelf and you decide that it's obsolete. You want to write it off. Okay, so you initiate the write-off, opening the notification, while the material still on the shelf. Okay, and in inventory, and you find it in warehouse under the same bin location as well. You find it in inventory. Okay, so you open the notification. Things must be open in a chronological way and very fast, meaning that if I open a notification for 100 patch cables, which are in location A01, those patch cables need to be flagged in order to avoid other people to pass again and to identify again for another write-off and initiate another notification. Because this is what happened to Brindisi. We had 2 different technical teams which passed by to the same location. They found the same patch cables and they opened 2 different notifications. So everything should be done in a fast way. And let's say business should, the transaction should follow the business. So if I'm able to, once I open the notification, I have to communicate to warehouse in order to start creating the TR and the TO. And in the meantime, I have to put the block in stock, this line item. So the item is in block stock. So I don't have to, I know that it's in block stock running the report. I don't have to, and in this case, I do not open another notification if it's already in block stock. And meanwhile, during the TRTO, I can just start moving it, the equipment, and isolating the equipment from the real inventory. I mean, somehow the process itself should change also from Umoja. I don't know if I was clear.
Yes, Claudio, you were. And again, it goes back to what we've been discussing right from day one. Whatever you do at 0.0 is going to definitely have an impact down the road, right? So if you don't flag or do your job properly at one point, eventually down the road, you can see the consequences of it. And this is just another one. And no one has flagged this equipment or these expendables. And suddenly, there's more than one notification raised for the same one. Because of different technical units, right? And maybe communication that is not occurring, or maybe they're just checking the system and pulling reports. They see nothing is flagged, so they think nothing has been done. So tons of reasons. But if this happens in a place like Brindisi, where we think they know that it seems to be under control, let's say, right? We could say, in the majority of the cases, what happens in a liquidation scenario could be, a complete different story.
Because I said, for example, we identified those patch cable on the 1st of April. We opened the notification on the same week. Then a month later, since we went again to do another walkthrough to the store, we found the same equipment, maybe another team, another person, and they flag it again. So after a month, because no action was taken. So that's what I'm saying. If you don't, once you identify, physically action should follow. If I open a notification, I have to advise warehouse that the item has been put in write-off, and I have, at least from warehouse perspective, I have to flag it physically also.
Yep. Thanks, Claudio.
You're welcome.
If there's nothing else, I don't know, Daniel, if maybe in the meantime, in the background, you've been running a report. If that's the case, you want to show it, fine. If not, we can see if anyone else wants to intervene.
That's for sure. But in the meantime, I'm going to share with you the second try for the polling questions, right?
There you go. Okay.
Before we go for a break, I think, and then we resume with the BI and the answers to the questions.
Yes, the break. I forgot about that one too. Thank you. Thanks for that reminder. So yes, please share the second polling, which is the same one we shared earlier, right? This is the second attempt.
Yeah, and we can be at 3:20, for example.
Okay, we'll come back at 3:20. And please, everyone that has tried the first time around, now try the second time around, so we can have better stats as to your progress and how much you've been paying attention to Daniel.
Okay, so we'll be back at 8 minutes from now. All right.
Yeah, that's fine. 3:20 sounds good. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, so our time is up. I hope you had time to answer the questions. If not, let us know. Maybe we can leave another minute or so for you guys to fill in the forms. I don't know if it's looking better than the first time around, Daniel. Hopefully.
Hi, Brian. I was trying to work it out. I said 8 minutes, but it's not enough. So, but yes, I don't know if we can. Let me just work a little bit with the 16 right off 2, right off 1. Let's see if I can just sort.
How many answers do we have so far?
Well, we have in the 32 in the first try and 60, just half in the second try. So,
I see.
yeah, always the first try, it's the one that people like the most. Yeah.
Okay.
But,
after lunch, we lose some.
I think after in the afternoon session, you really do take the break.
Let me see. Well, in any case, we can share. I mean, I didn't have time to copy and paste things because I was in the VI part. So let me just put it here. Let me see.
Sorry for rushing. I just wasn't sure if you were done yet, but there's still time for more people to answer.
Yeah.
So we can use this time if it's only half. We're at 33 attendees in the afternoon session, so like you said, it's pretty much half of the amount that took it this morning.
Yeah. In any case, I mean, we can do a preliminary check here. You see the number 1, right off number 1. It's the results here. This first question is which role is not involved in the write-off process for a piece of equipment. Well, I noted several of the roles that we covered: notification approver, disposal planner, warehouse user, and budget officer, right? This is wrong. In the initial write-off, in the initial pooling questions, we have 75% of the students answering right. You see, like 3/4 of the pie chart. In the second try, it's we only have 2 people identifying like notification approver, like a role not involved. So, I mean, it's a better, let's say, it's better result than the other, at least. So, see, now I lost the thing. So this is the exposed. Let me go for the second try, and then and then we will compare. Second question is: a notification must be created in order to start a write-off process. Only one person said no. Let me see if I can see the same question in the first try. Here we had 2 persons, but we have more people responding, right? So, well, more or less the same. Third question: the last step for a write-off and disposal process is to deactivate the equipment. I mean, as a last step, you can always as well close the notification, but yeah, I mean, generally we can see it's true, right? And most of you guys said so in the first try, and in the second try, it's pretty much the same. Okay, a little bit less, I'd say, but yes, I mean, we can say that how many people said other, let me see, 2, okay. It's okay, so more or less the same. Then from the below roles, who will not be accessing the notification in a write-off case? Obviously, it will be the equipment master data maintainer, right? But the notification user, the approver, and the disposal planner, yes, they do have to access because they have to take action, but not the equipment master data maintainer, right? We have plenty of people saying so it's okay. Let's see in the second try. Well, in the second try, we can say that it's even worse. So in the fourth question actually was not really after the session was not clear what I say. So let's make it clear. Equipment master data maintainer as a role do not have access to the notification, and it's not taking as a role, right? As a data maintainer is not taking action into the notification per se. Honestly, I don't see whether, I don't know currently whether there is some sort of segregation of duties, and being SD11 prevents you to access a particular notification. Honestly, I don't know. So if it is the case, then some equipment master data maintainers will have access to notification, okay? But at least make sure that, or be sure that the notification user, the approver, and the disposal planner are the main roles involved in the notification. How the notification number is linked to the equipment master record. Remember, it's through the inventory number, the field, the green part. Let's see in the second try. Yeah, it was better. No, the response rate was much better. But just make sure that to know that through the inventory number, this field in the equipment master record will, let's say, link the notification with the equipment master record at the end of the day. Okay. So yes, I mean, we cannot expect a perfect score every time, but at least, you know, making sure that the answers are understood, and everyone is, we are all in the same track, on the same track here. So that's for the polling questions. Thank you guys for going through those. Those are very useful for us. I retrieved one of the presentations on write-off and disposal. You see that there are a lot of reports for write-off and write-off duration of the write-off process, right? So we have first the report number 6, which has web intelligence and then an analysis workspace. So it has 2 types of reports within the same KPI. Report number 8 on the duration of the write-off process, the same. It has web intelligence and analysis workspace. Then we do have a report number 18 on identifying the disposal backlog greater than 180 days. So the system will tell you, or will identify, which cases are taking more than 180 days to be resolved. And still you have 2 types of reports for that. Report number 25, only devoted to the commercial sale, which at the end of the day, it's one of the most used. So disposal by commercial sale, timeline completed, how long it takes to perform disposal by commercial sale. Still, we have 2 types of reports for that. And then we have an analysis workspace only devoted for write-off and disposal. So for all the information related to write-off and disposal. So as we do have more sessions in write-off than today, the idea, and we only have 30 minutes, is not to really go through all these reports right now, but at least, you know, to take a look at the first ones at least and see, you know, whether we understand. You see that the report number 6 on write-off backlog on P&E, it's only for fixed assets, right? Report number 6. As I told you before, there are plenty of reports only focusing on fixed assets. So this is one of them for write-off. The measurements in these reports is net book value of all the fixed assets undergoing a write-off process, but not yet derecognized. So they are still awaiting approval by the property management delegee, and for a period longer than 30 days. So if this piece of equipment, which is a fixed asset, it's still waiting approval, it's not being yet derecognized for a period more than 30 days, this report flags these items and puts it in the report. So, well, the unit of measure is percentage expressed of the net book value for all fixed assets undergoing disposal write-off. So eventually the target is to have 0%. So basically having 0 net book value in terms of fixed assets going for a written approval for more than 30 days to be recognized. And the tolerance rate is 10%. Very simple prompt, you'll see, and we will do right away. And we will actually tell you what's this planned and posted depreciation in case that you are you don't know it. So let me go directly into the system and go to report number 6. First, the web intelligence report. Let's see if they go fast. In the meantime, I'm going to take a look at the report number 8 on the duration of the write-off process. So I launched the report at the same time. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have time to work out before the break. So as this opens, report number 8 will give you a bit of perspective of the duration of the whole write-off process, regardless whether we're talking of fixed assets or not, and the unit of measure is days. So basically, the intention here is to show how long it takes to have a write-off process completed. From and probably you will understand that the reality, tells us something totally different. But the target for this KPI is set at 90 days, basically 3 months to undertake the write-off process for a piece of equipment with a tolerance rate of 30 days. So well, yes, from 3 to 4 months. That's the KPI involved, and well, it's taking a bit of time. So report number 6. So we'll wait. Then for report number 8, the scope determination, always very important to understand what data is there in the report. Obviously, all the equipment with the deleted system status will be out of the picture. Will be excluded equipment that has completed write-off process before the period you selected in the prompt. Makes sense, right? And you see, will include notifications created within the period selected by user. So that's where we are really emphasizing the fact that if no notification is created or the notification is not linked in the equipment master record, the report number 8 will not be able to drag that information into the report itself, okay? So that's quite important. Yeah, still, Brian, it's doesn't look too promising, this one. So they may go back to the presentation. So first, you have on the write-off backlog for fixed assets, report number 6, and KPI number 8, it's for the rest of the equipment, okay? And focusing on the days that takes the write-off process to be completed. Both of them, they have an analysis workspace, so you can drag and drop different things. As you can see in report number 8, in the analysis workspace, you can even identify whether you want only the duration for assets or for equipment, if you select other, or for both of them. Here, that's a simple screenshot of how the report looks like. Okay, you have several lines. This case, business area with reporting entity, but you have here a KPI. You see write-off completed, and let me just put it bigger. You see, let's see if I can just put it here. So you have the days as an average for this reporting entity and business area, and the time that it's going in the different boards, right? DMS, Local Property Survey Board, or HQ Property Survey Board. For the ones completed, and for the ones pending to be written off. Yeah, doesn't look very promising. Let me just relaunch again and just launch another report. So that's report number 8. Let me go duration of the write-off process. Let's see if we are luckier in this case. Okay, well, this goes. So the idea is to launch this report. We have here a scenario for your information, and you can complete. And very important, let me just put it here. So, okay, this is the AWS for write-off and disposal, and it's a huge cube of data displaying the notifications PW, the ones related to the write-off cases, right? So yeah, again, doesn't look very much. So let me go back to the AWS and analysis workspaces. So property management, you'll see the first 4 items here in BI, or 5 are the main analysis workspaces. You see the 5th one is for write-off and disposal. Let's see if we are luckier here, because otherwise I think that's maybe it's a problem with the performance on BI today. So let's launch this report. Remember, this is an AWS only for write-off cases. So we can set a date. I don't know, maybe we can put the last 6 months, for example. So we can put 2020. Always be be aware of the format of the date in BI, because from one prompt to another it may change. Here we have 4 digits for the year, 2 for the month, 10 October, and 2 for the day. So it's 1st October 2020 up until, let's say, today. Doesn't work. Let me see. Okay, it took 20 seconds. I'm going to select business area UNAMID. I'm going to look in text. So it's B015. Let me put reported entity as well, UNAMID. All right, UNAMID. So both reported entity and business area is UNAMID. Remember that if you guys want to save these reports and the prompt, I think we have someone speaking. Do you have any question? Let's see.
I think 2019, no, Daniel?
Oh, you're right. Thank you very much. You see, I did it in order to check whether you guys were paying attention. Thank you. 2019.
At least one is. Huh?
Yeah.
My 2 cents.
Not the main trainer, right? No.
Exactly.
So you see, click here and save the prompt values with the workspace, meaning that if I want to save this report for usage next week, if I don't click here, the prompt data will not be saved. So I will have to redo it again. So this is a good tip, okay? Click there if you want to eventually save this report. And let me try with the other two, or maybe not. I'm not so confident, because if I try to launch these ones, maybe the whole thing is going to get blocked. So let me just leave it there. And
I can run one in the meantime if you want to.
Okay, please do. Report number 6 and number 8, the web intelligence, please, for UNAMID.
All right, good.
And then when he's finished, maybe you can just send it to me through the BI inbox, and we can show these guys how to do it in case that they don't know. Or right. how you can, let's see, schedule a report if you want to have it ready in your inbox every week, for example, so you keep track of things. Okay.
Okay.
Today's taking a little bit more time, and I can only imagine how difficult it must be for to work sometimes with these reports in the mission, So okay, so it wasn't so bad. So what do we have here? Let's read the report first. This analysis first, which is the main table. I think I lost. Okay, here we go. So we have our business area, the reporting entity. There are 4,691 notifications, PW notifications for UNAMID, involving almost 19,000 pieces of equipment. Count on equipment with write-off completed, well, 15,000. Pending, 3,500. Equipment average write-off timeline, 129. Equipment average disposal timeline, 207. These are days, I believe. So I don't know, we can do an analysis by type of equipment or by, first of all, I'd like to just leave this business area and the equipment reporting entity out of the picture, because we already know that these measures, these notifications are for UNAMID. So if we just get rid of these attributes and we put it in the background, still, this is UNAMID data, so it's good. But I can just, have more space here to drag and drop stuff. Because otherwise, as I'm dragging into the analysis different variables, then the whole analysis get a bit shrinked, right? And it's difficult to read. So let me put these two attributes into the background. Okay, auto update. And then I will see only, let's see, these measures in my report. Okay, let's see if I can move. Let's see if wait a little bit. Let me see in the presentation as well. What is going to be in the scope determination for this analysis workspace? As I said, PW notification types, excluding equipment that has completed write-off before the period. Okay, the connection between equipment and notification is made by the equipment inventory number. You see, very important. This is a text field used to record the number of the write-off notification within the equipment. Okay, this is what this report is not KPI intended, so you will not see a KPI, but it's intended to provide you an overview with the status of the write-off and disposal processes by showing you the number of equipments with one of these processes along the average timelines. Okay, these measures, these last two, on the equipment average write-off and disposal, it's the number of days between the notification approved, so start of write-off date, and the notification review approved. Remember and let me go back to the, okay, you'll see review approved over here, and created the notification. So the time that takes notification since starts the write-off process review here from SD09 up until that review is approved. So this time between these two boxes, it's analyzed in this column over here. So it's important to, from the SD09 perspective, to be compliant with the date. So the time that write-off is approved, he or she has to go into the notification and approve and change the status, because otherwise days will pass, and that would affect this number on this column. Okay. When there is no notification review approved date, then it considers the minimum between the current date and the date selected in the user prompt. Okay, so these two, these last two columns are referring to the dates on the approval process for notification, excuse me, for write-off and for disposal. So let's see. So here I can just go down and see some important, let's see, some measures that we may want to put here in place. The things like, I don't want to have so many rows, so we can do from disposal status or disposal type. Okay, maybe I can, let me get rid of some of the notifications. So the count on equipment, I'm gonna leave it there. The equipment average time, I'm gonna leave it there. And count on notifications as well. So, okay, let me leave it there. And then I'm going to drag and drop the disposal, for example, the disposal type. It's a pity that it goes so slow today. I just click on measures and, it's just, you click on cancel and it takes forever. Yeah. I don't know how you're doing, Brian, with the other two reports, but doesn't look very promising.
Well, I gave up on 8 already because it keeps crashing, and I'm just running the web intelligence for report 6.
Okay, so I'm dragging and dropping equipment disposal type. Remember that this information is for UNAMID. So if I drag and drop here into the rows, the disposal type, all this information will be broken down by disposal types. Yeah. What else? Back to the presentation. Sorry, this reports are not going very smoothly today. Then report number 18 will give you a view of the backlog greater than 180 days for disposal. So, and there you can identify for KPI number 1, disposal other than commercial sale, and KPI number 2 will be disposal by commercial sale, which I guess that it was so important, this commercial sale disposal, that they wanted to have a tab only devoted to that type of information, right? So that's the idea. And then on the scope determination, basically for KPI number 1, well, based on the disposal method that we put in the user status, right, in the equipment master record, then the system will derive the information. So everything related to cannibalization, donation, destruction, trade-in will be in KPI number 1, and only for KPI number 2 will be the sale commercial disposal method. Okay. Go back. So see, let me open this a little bit up. So for example, for commercial sale, we see that we have 434 notifications. The majority are for non-commercial sale in UNAMID, and 1,000 of them are still not specified. Count on equipment, 2/3 are for non-commercial sale, and 1/3, let's say, well, not 1/3 because we have here 6,000 not specified, 9,000 for non-commercial sale, and 3,000 for commercial sale. And that's the count on equipment. All of them has been completed. So, and only 90 notifications or 90 pieces of equipment are pending for write-off, and all of them for non-commercial sale. The average time for the write-off to be completed, it's for commercial sale is 75 days. For non-commercial sales, a bit more, almost 140 days. And the average disposal timeline is a bit bigger for the non-commercial sale as well. Okay. So, well, a way to break down a little bit of the information. Then, if you want to really pay attention, for example, to, I don't know, this line. Is count on the equipment write-off pending. So let me just keep that line. So I right-click on that line and I keep that numbers. When it's being processed, let me go back to the presentation. Okay, and a way for the report number 18 on disposal backlog greater than 180 days. Well, the prompt always differentiates between assets and non-assets, or you can put them both. So that's the good thing about this, is just from the prompt in the equipment type, you can identify these two categories, let's see, of equipment. And that's what you will get in report number 18, for example, right? In KPI for disposal sale, in this case, I don't know, I don't remember the business area. I probably put it blank there because I didn't want to embarrass anyone, probably, or maybe we were just having this, let's say, because remember, this is production data. So here, the backlog, the percentage of equipment undergoing of disposal by commercial sale more than 180 days is 12% of them. So 8 out of 65. Total number of equipments undergoing disposal, 8 of them are going over 180 days, let's say over 6 months, let's say. And in disposal other than commercial sale, it's a bit bigger. So 12 out of 32, which represents 37.5%, it's still a backlog of more than 180 days for this disposal method other than commercial sale to be done. So it gives you a good perspective of, you know, the number of how you're doing in terms of disposal in by type of disposal method. Okay, so it's already this one, this analysis workspace is already fixed. Let me just identify the equipment, for example. We have countdown notifications right off. Let me just identify the equipment. So I'm going to only count on the equipment. So I'm just going to get only one column. And then I will drag and drop the equipment serial number so we can see all the equipments with the pending write-off process. And Brian, no luck with report number 6, neither?
Yes, I'm emailing it to you right now.
Okay, but if you can just through the BI inbox?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, so kind of equipment. Okay, so non-commercial sale. So I have plenty of them. So let me just check instead of count on equipment, count on notification. Let's see. It's worth for each of these analysis workspaces. It's worth to spend 1 good hour to really understand all the different attributes that you have in the left part, and because it takes a while to get the data as well. Let's see if I received it. So I go to home.
And not yet, because it's not finding your name.
Okay, let me see if I find myself one of these. Let me see, documents. I'm going to go to my documents.
There
and
you go.
It's
now it is.
de criado. It will be, I think it's de criado.
Now it is, yeah. For some reason, no matter what combination I tried, it just said error. But now it was sent, just now.
Okay. Right. So you see here, thank you, Brian. You see here that we have for non-commercial sale as a disposal type, we have 3,269 notifications, but the equipment undergoing disposal, it's more than 9,000. So as an average, we could say, right, roughly average that we have 3 pieces of equipment by notification, right? I mean, that's an average. Probably in one notification, we may have 200 pieces of equipment that, as you can see, it's not a one-to-one relationship, it's one to many, right? One notification to many pieces of equipment, right? So let me check if I received the report. So I go to home. You see, it should be this one, right? Because I have 13 messages in my inbox. The first one is Daniel WD8. So let me click on that one. So a way to share reports in BI is by just launching the report and send it through the BI inbox. Still, probably it's going to take some time, right, Brian?
It seems so. It took a little while for me. Honestly, it didn't take this long. I think report 8 was doing exactly this, and it kept crashing, so I stopped opening it. And this didn't take that long, actually. I thought it would be quicker for you.
Okay. Let me see if I just use the cable. Let me just get rid of my Wi-Fi. Okay. See, it's better. Yeah, today is not a good day for BI. So probably, I think it's best if I launch these reports and have them ready for tomorrow's session rather than keep these guys waiting for.
If you want just to close, I can share my screen and you can see it because I still have it displayed.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah.
So
okay. All right, so let's do that. And now you should see it.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is what we have, right? You were looking at Unimid, business area P015.
Mm-hmm. This is report number 6, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, so can you go to the prompt, refresh again the prompt so we see what you input there?
Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't take the last 4 or 5 minutes that we have. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay.
So you put there business area P15, maintenance plans, Unamid as well, planning plant Unamid, reporting entity, and it's up to date, no? So it doesn't give you a range of time of dates, sorry, but it gives you a cutoff date, right? Which you put today's date, right?
Actually, today's date a year ago. I can change it to today's date, but I thought maybe
leave it there, yeah. Just
yeah.
in case, yeah, of course, cancel. And there, what we have, it's will display the number of assets that it's taken to be the, let's say, the recognized from the write-off point of view more than 30 days. So it's 67% of them. It's taking more than 30 days, and this is their capitalized value over 30 days, and the net book value over the 30 days. And then we have a fewer number of assets being recognized in less than a month, let's say, 32% of them, and the capitalized and net book value, right? So in UNAMID, at that point, it's over 2,000 assets undergoing write-off process, and this will be the sum of the capitalized and net book value of all of them. So, well, it gives you an idea of how the write-off process is going specifically for fixed assets. If you want to know the details, you can go to the detail tab at the bottom. And I think there you'll have a good perspective of all the asset master records. You'll see the asset numbers of and the equipments aligned to each one of those asset master records. When the write-off was initiated, right? The date. If you scroll to your right a little bit more, Brian. And the timeline, the days that are taken for the notification to change in terms of status. So there you have a little bit more specifics or details on the summary part. Yeah, so all of them are there presented. You'll see that most of them are related to the same type of assets, right? If you can see there are a lot of like shower items or modules, or I don't know what that's, this kitchen, right? 400 men, or stuff related to, you know, the buildings. So all those are assets that plenty of them had the same capitalized value, and they were written off at the same date or during the same week. Prefabs, soft walls.
Yeah. See, even here, even putting 2019, we see initiated for write-off 2018, no? For the soft walls.
Yeah, so I think it's best if I just launch these reports after this session, and then we show them. We show the guys after tomorrow's session, maybe. Well, or would you think it's better? So we don't have this, you know, waiting time that may, you know, not be so good. No, but definitely it goes better for me, because still my screen on my BI is going, you know, around the clock there.
It's still loading.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's working a bit better, but still. I can try today's date, but you guys get the idea of what we're seeing and what's displayed for this particular report. Again, this is report number 6. Hold on, not here, but here under my folders. We were looking exactly at the write-off backlog for P&E Web Intelligence report. And now that it has a different name, basically, because when I sent it, before sending it to Daniel, I saved it. And for him to recognize it easily, I wrote the day of today's, so day 8 in the workshop, and write-off Daniel. But you see, it's still taking a while even for me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we can do that for tomorrow.
Can you go back to documents, please?
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to just, I know there are plenty of reports here, and it's impossible to know them and to work with all of them, but just if I were you, I would definitely go and work in the first 5, and even excluding the equipment in transit. So I will go for 1, 3, and 5. The 1, 3, and 5. Analysis workspace for equipment, analysis workspace for inventory, and analysis workspace for write-off and disposal. those are cube of data that will give you a very good perspective of how the equipment is going, how the inventory is going, and how the write-off and disposal process is going, with specifics on the equipment type, the type of disposal, the type of inventory, the type of storage location. So at least it's not KPI intended, but just to give you an idea of how things are doing in the mission. So I would definitely, work those out with the UNAMID data, if that is the case, if you're going to UNAMID, in order to have a good perspective of how things are doing by storage location, for example, or by planner group, how many notifications have been created in the last 6 months, how many of them are being completed, how many of them are still pending, with write-off cases still open, stuff like that, right? Then if you are already acquainted with these ones, then I will definitely go for the analysis workspaces related to the reports for the KPIs, because eventually you are not going to report based on any KPI to New York. What you're going to do is to launch and analyze the data based on the reality in UNAMID. So definitely I will work the way in analysis workspaces rather than web intelligence reports. Yeah, that's a bit about the advice before you leave.
Yeah. Okay, so is this good enough? Do I stop sharing my screen? I don't know if you have anything else ready.
Yeah, I will leave the survey now on the chat for the afternoon session, and I don't know whether we have New York on board this week or that was only for the first week.
I don't see anyone, and they haven't joined us or heard. I haven't heard anything either, so I wouldn't count on it.
Okay.
I do see in the chat though, Nico. Let's see. I think Joe asked about the net book value yesterday. No PC. Okay. No questions mainly related to the first slowness of BI if we're using the VDI. I wasn't using VDI. I never do actually because it crashes every second for me. So I just use directly the browser. And besides that, Joe was asking about the net book value yesterday. Is a comment that Nico's making. I'm not sure if it's related exactly to a report.
It was already in one of the reports that Daniel highlighted. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to put the survey in there. I mean, this is not the only session on write-off. I think tomorrow we have another one. But I will try to work a little bit with data in BI between today and tomorrow, and then we'll try to show you some important or relevant information coming from BI as well. So I hope the demo was okay. It was a long day with so many roles involved, and of course this is a happy flow and with only one piece of equipment and one notification. Thank you, Claudio, for sharing these tips on how you can include in one single notification several pieces of equipment. I had a offline conversation with him, and he told me that what they do usually in Brindisi, they create one notification, and they, for example, for 10 pieces of equipment, they refer in the notification to one of them, but then they create service orders for the rest of the equipment to be written off. And then they link the service order to the notification, so everything is duly tracked. And there is one notification for, let's say, the same notification, but for different service orders for different pieces of equipment. So that's a workaround that it's fully functional and works perfectly fine with them. So in order a little bit to answer Gianluca's question on that, so that's a way that the guys in Brindisi are doing. I'm not sure whether in other missions they do, because honestly, the part of write-off and notification business is not, from GDP, it was not very well or welcomed, let's say. I remember the first days when we had to taught how the notification was created, approved, and released, and with all these tasks. Trust me, it was not very welcomed by the students, so I can only imagine how difficult it is for them to start even teaching back in the missions how the notification is done. But definitely notification has to be done in the write-off process, so there is no other workaround. For some other processes, we leave it there. I mean, upon flexibility of the business, as we said before, with Kirill's and with the unit in New York, I think it's worth. That's why I checked with you, Brian, whether New York was on board. I think that definitely a discussion before you guys are deployed, it's worth it to have with them in order to align the limitations of the system with the guidelines and the policies that can be taken in place while you guys are deployed. Day-to-day mission is not the same in a regular mission than in a mission that is going to be downsized or liquidated. So I think that all those things have to be taken into account, especially when we have lessons learned from Minijust, as Joe is saying. So I will leave it there, and I will share the survey for this afternoon, and just waiting for tomorrow's session. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, everyone. Just make sure you fill in the survey before you disconnect. And we'll see you tomorrow for a little more on write-off, this time with Elena Carrasco.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Daniela.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Gianluca.
Yeah, thank all of you.
Thank you, Claudia, for your help. Thanks.